The Taliban in Afghanistan is accused of breaking a promise to stop cooperating with terrorist groups. The head of a UN panel says the Taliban has kept up its close relationship with the withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan. That will be up for discussion today when NATO defense ministers meet. NBC News national security correspondent Ken Dilanian joins us now to break this all down. Ken, good morning. So first, what did the UN find out about how close this relationship between the Taliban and al-Qaeda is?
Good morning, Savannah. Well, when Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced this peace deal with the Taliban a year ago, he said the Taliban had made a break with terrorist groups. My intelligence sources tell me, and the UN is saying that that wasn't true then, and it's not true now. The UN has found that there are between 200 and 500 al-Qaeda fighters remaining in Afghanistan, and they have close ties with the Taliban through tribal and intermarriage ties. And this is not something that can be broken by signing an agreement. And while the Taliban will just simply respond that al-Qaeda left Afghanistan after the 2002 American invasion, the UN says not only is that not true, but that top al-Qaeda leaders are under Taliban protection. Now, al-Qaeda is not the threat that it was even 10 years ago, but this leaves the Biden administration in an excruciating position, having to decide whether to go through with this planned withdrawal in May or to leave a small number of troops in Afghanistan to keep watch on this potential terrorist threat, Savannah.
And Ken, how's the Taliban responding?
Well, the Taliban, as I said, just insists that there is no al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, which is patently false. Now, we have to keep in mind here that this is America's longest war. Most polls show that Americans want to get troops out of Afghanistan. There are about 2,500 American troops there now. And it costs, Savannah, something like $50 billion a year to keep them there to do the other things we're doing. So it's not an insignificant cost. But look, we have 28,000 troops in Korea. 4 Americans died last year under hostile circumstances in Afghanistan. About 900 troops died nationwide of other kinds of causes. So it is a kind of thing that the United States could do if it wanted to do. But it's a controversial decision, and the Biden administration is facing it now, Savannah.
Now, Ken, not only is this an obvious hope that the Taliban wouldn't cooperate with these terrorist groups, as you mentioned, they actually signed an agreement with the U.S. on this. So what are the possible repercussions?
Well, the possible repercussions are that the Biden administration decides that, in fact, the Taliban is not abiding by this agreement and that the U.S. will not withdraw all the troops as planned in May and will leave a small force in place. That's what a lot of my national security sources would like to see happen, because they say it's a small price for the United States to pay to make sure that something like 9/11 can never happen again in Afghanistan. We've long ago given up our big dreams of remaking Afghanistan as some kind of liberal democracy in South Asia. But at this point, the hope is to just simply make sure that no terrorist attack against the United States emanates from that broken country, Savannah.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.